The year 2025 has been a relentless testament to nature's fury, with a staggering surge in severe storms and unprecedented flooding across the United States. Millions are not just facing the immediate terror of these events, but the agonizing long-term threat of losing their homes, their livelihoods, and their very sense of security. This isn't just about property damage. It's a looming humanitarian crisis, with the specter of widespread homelessness casting a dark shadow over countless communities. From the ravaged coastlines to the drenched heartland, the question is no longer if disaster will strike, but when and how many will be left with nothing. Get ready to delve into the heartbreaking reality of a nation grappling with a climate crisis that's literally washing away lives. The deluge unleashed, a nation drowning in disasters. The early months of 2025 painted a grim picture of escalating extreme weather. February alone saw a storm system unleash flash flooding and tornadoes, claiming at least 18 lives across Kentucky, West Virginia, Tennessee, and Virginia. The North Fork Kentucky River in Jackson, Kentucky, crested at a devastating 37.1 feet, far exceeding typical levels and mirroring the worst flooding since 1984. This was just a precursor. By July, flash flooding had become a recurring nightmare in states like Texas, New Mexico, New Jersey, and New York. New Mexico's Rio Ruidoso, still reeling from 2024 wildfires, was once again inundated, with over 65 people requiring water rescue. Texas experienced a month's worth of rain in just 24 hours in San Antonio in June, leading to 13 fatalities and nearly 70 water rescues. The sheer volume of rainfall is staggering. Little Rock, Arkansas, received 12 inches, 300 millimeters, of rain between April 2nd and April 6th, nearly double its typical April rainfall. Mayfield, Kentucky, a town still recovering from a devastating tornado in 2021, was hit with 13.40 inches, 340.4 millimeters, of rain in early April, leading to extensive flooding. These aren't isolated incidents. They are part of a terrifying pattern. Tornado Alley's relentless roar, twisters tear through communities. Beyond the floods, 2025 has been a particularly active year for tornadoes. As of May 22nd, there have been 724 confirmed tornadoes across the U.S., resulting in at least 35 deaths. The central and southern U.S. have been particularly hard hit. Between March 29th and April 6th, over 550 tornado warnings were issued, including 5 confirmed EF, 3 tornadoes that caused widespread destruction. States like Oklahoma and Missouri saw multiple tornadoes, some with winds reaching 150 to 165 miles per hour. In March, over 100 tornadoes were reported across the U.S. in just 2 days, March 14th and 15th. Mississippi alone saw 21 counties affected by severe weather, leading to 6 fatalities. These powerful, unpredictable storms leave a path of unimaginable destruction, flattening homes, tearing apart infrastructure, and leaving communities in ruins. The sheer frequency and intensity of these events are unprecedented, forcing emergency services and local governments to operate in a constant state of crisis. The long-term recovery for these communities will be an uphill battle, especially for those who lack the resources to rebuild. The silent threat. Wildfires rage, leaving scars for future floods. While storms and floods dominate the headlines, another silent threat is exacerbating the crisis. Wildfires. The first half of 2025 saw devastating wildfires around Los Angeles, causing an estimated $93 billion in overall losses, with around $80 billion insured. What's truly alarming is that these fires occurred in winter, typically the rainy season for Southern California, highlighting the profound impact of climate change on weather patterns. The burn scars left behind by these massive fires create a dangerous feedback loop, making affected areas far more susceptible to devastating flash floods and subsequent rain events. This was tragically demonstrated in Ruidoso, New Mexico, where recent wildfires made the area vulnerable to July floods. The destruction of vegetation leaves the soil exposed and unable to absorb water, turning even moderate rainfall into a destructive torrent. This interconnectedness of extreme weather events creates a complex and compounding challenge for disaster preparedness and recovery efforts. Economic fallout. Billions washed away. Futures drowned. The economic toll of these disasters in 2025 is staggering. Munich Re, a leading reinsurance company, reported that natural disasters caused over $331 billion in global losses in the first half of 2025. This is higher than the previous year. The U.S. accounted for almost 80% of global insured losses in 2024, a trend that continues in 2025 due to vulnerability to severe thunderstorms, hurricanes, floods, and wildfires. Swiss Re Institute estimates that global insured losses from natural disasters could reach $275 billion in 2025, a 6% increase from 2024. In a peak year, driven by severe hurricanes or major earthquakes, insured losses could easily surpass $300 billion. The wildfires around Los Angeles alone cost an estimated $53 billion. For context, Hurricane Andrew in 1992 caused $35 billion in insured losses. If a similar hurricane were to strike today, the losses would be nearly 3 times higher due to economic growth and population increase. These astronomical figures represent not just monetary losses but shattered lives, destroyed businesses, and a tremendous burden on taxpayers and the insurance industry. The escalating costs are unsustainable and demand a radical shift in how we approach climate resilience and disaster preparedness. The homelessness crisis, when home becomes a memory. Perhaps the most devastating consequence of these relentless natural disasters is the escalating homelessness crisis. While precise real-time data for homelessness directly caused by 2025 disasters is still being compiled, the existing trends paint a grim picture. In 2024, a staggering 2 million people, or about 72 of every 10,000 people in the United States, experienced homelessness, marking an 18% increase from 2023. Family homelessness saw an alarming 39% rise, reaching a high watermark of approximately 259,000 people. Nearly 150,000 children experienced homelessness in 2024, a 33% increase from the previous year. While not all of this increase is solely attributable to natural disasters, it's undeniable that these events are significant in growing driver displacement. When homes are destroyed by floods, tornadoes, or fires, many individuals and families, especially those already on the economic brink, lack the resources to rebuild or find new housing. The lack of affordable housing, coupled with the immense scale of destruction, means that a significant portion of those displaced by natural disasters will struggle to find permanent shelter, pushing them into the ranks of the homeless. The human cost, more than just numbers, beyond the statistics and financial figures, it's crucial to remember the profound human cost. For those who lose their homes, the trauma extends far beyond the immediate disaster. It encompasses a loss of personal belongings, cherished memories, and a sense of stability. Children displaced from their schools and routines face emotional distress and educational disruptions. Families are torn apart, forced to live in temporary shelters or with relatives, often in overcrowded and stressful conditions. The mental health burden is immense, with many survivors experiencing anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress. The elderly and those with disabilities are particularly vulnerable, often struggling to evacuate, access resources, and navigate complex recovery processes. The loss of community ties, as neighbors are dispersed and local businesses are destroyed, further deepens the sense of loss and isolation. This is a crisis of human dignity and resilience, demanding not just immediate relief but sustained, compassionate support. The ripple effect, from disaster to destitution. The immediate impact of these severe weather events, damaged homes, destroyed infrastructure, and tragic loss of life, is just the tip of the iceberg. The long-term consequences are far more insidious, pushing vulnerable populations towards the brink of homelessness. When a home is damaged or destroyed, the path to recovery is often fraught with obstacles. Many homeowners in high-risk areas struggle to afford adequate insurance, or their policies may not cover the full extent of the damage. This leaves them with devastating out-of-pocket expenses for repairs, often forcing them into debt or into selling their property at a significant loss. For renters, the situation is even more precarious. A destroyed rental property means an immediate loss of housing, often with limited options for relocation, especially in already tight housing markets. The affordability crisis, a pre-existing condition in many U.S. cities, is exacerbated by climate disasters. As homes are destroyed and demand for intact housing increases, rental prices and property values in safer areas tend to skyrocket, pricing out those who have been displaced. This phenomenon creates climate gentrification, where wealthier individuals can afford to move to less risky areas, while lower-income communities are left to bear the brunt of climate impacts or are forced into less desirable, often more precarious, housing situations. Statistical data paints a grim picture of displacement. While exact projections for homelessness solely due to severe weather in 2025 are still developing, existing trends offer a sobering outlook. The Internal Displacement Monitoring Center, IDMC, highlights that internal displacement due to disasters is a growing global issue, and the U.S. is not immune. In July 2025 alone, due to floods in Ruidoso, New Mexico, 128 people were in shelters, and 1,000 people were under mandatory evacuation orders in San Juan County, Utah, due to wildfires. These numbers represent immediate displacement, but the journey back to stable housing is often prolonged and difficult, leading to chronic homelessness for many. Research from previous years indicates that tens of thousands of Americans are displaced annually due to natural disasters, with a significant percentage never returning to their original homes. Experts suggest that as climate events intensify, this number could increase by 10 to 15% annually, meaning potentially hundreds of thousands more individuals facing long-term displacement or homelessness each year. A call to arms, building a resilient future, together, preventing a catastrophic wave of climate-induced homelessness in the U.S. in 2025 and beyond requires a multi-pronged approach. First, there must be a significant increase in investment in resilient infrastructure, upgrading stormwater systems, building or reinforcing levees, elevating homes and floodplains, and implementing nature-based solutions like wetlands restoration that act as natural buffers. This is not just about protection, but about long-term economic stability. Second, housing policies must be reimagined to address climate risk and affordability simultaneously. This includes developing accessible financing solutions, such as low-interest loans or grants, for homeowners and landlords to make climate-resilient upgrades. It also means incentivizing construction of affordable housing in safe, low-risk areas and providing comprehensive relocation assistance for those in untenable situations. Federal programs need to be streamlined and adequately funded to provide immediate relief and long-term recovery support, cutting through bureaucratic red tape that often delays aid to those who need it most. Third, robust and accessible climate risk information must be made available to everyone, from potential homebuyers to urban planners. This transparency can empower individuals to make informed decisions and guide development away from high-risk zones. However, information alone is insufficient. It must be coupled with tangible support and financial incentives to enable communities and individuals to adapt. Finally, there needs to be a fundamental shift in mindset. Climate change is not an abstract environmental issue. It is a direct threat to human well-being, economic stability, and social justice. Acknowledging this reality and prioritizing climate adaptation and resilience at every level of governance and society is no longer an option, but an imperative. The severe storms and flooding of 2025 are a stark warning. The choice before us is clear: invest in a resilient future now, or face an escalating crisis of displacement and destitution that will define our generation. The time to act is now, before millions more are left with nowhere to call home.